YouTube family, what up? Maverick up and about again, you know. Yeah, man. And as usual, no more want big up all of the viewers, all of the people who watch the video them. And again, me I reach out and I encourage the interaction. Yeah. Check in at the comment section and let me know what you feel about what I'm saying. And also, please, press off the subscribe button. Make we try build up them subscriber numbers, you know. You know, says a reason me want to have this time. Me not dealing this like a, yeah, me just want to have a reasoning. Because sometimes when some things come to my mind, me just feel like I want to share them. Me feel it selfish to keep some of them thoughts out to myself. And me know this is one of the topic them where some people are going to run in and have an issue with. But think about it before you get emotional. We're in a Black History Month now. Yeah, you know, so every year when them have this Black History Month here, me kind of pour cold water upon it, you know. Come in night, you know. Because we don't think we need a special month to celebrate Black history. So me think in and of itself is a kind of symbolism where me don't think relevant to my personal philosophy and my ideals about being black. I mean, I think nobody in a position to talk to me about being black and appreciating my blackness. So me don't buy this thing of this symbolic period where we zoom in on Black history. That's one. Me I read an article in the newspaper today. Listen to the article me I talk about. If you don't know your past, you won't know your future. You know, you hear that kind of rhetoric there all the while and that kind of cliche there all the while. Where me I come from with this is that I think a person's past is just incidental, you know. There is no roadway, no pathway for sure you say anybody with a certain kind of past will end up with that kind of future. So your past is really incidental. The things that are important to your past is the kind of values that you learn, the kind of standards where you set that was set for the people who help you in your early stage of your evolution as a human being. This thing about your past I think it is much more important where you're going to than where you're coming from. And your past, to me, is basically irrelevant to where you might eventually end up in this life. Now, obviously, every individual's past are going to shape them character, the people where them encounter in them upbringing, are going to shape them character. But again, all of that is incidental. Because how you end up, basically, you know, have a lot to do with you and your character and the kind of qualities where you develop, you know. But here again, why I think it's incidental. Because there's no guarantee that if you take two youngsters who were born in our community and you carry them as much as possible through the identical path of development and education and upbringing and the exposure where them get to the people around them. There's no guarantee, you know, that those two individuals are going to end up in the same space or with the same level of achievement or with the same kind of values. Because some say a lot of how people end up have to do with freedom character and the kind of values that were instilled in them and how they process it and filter it and become the mature individuals that they become. In other words, what I say, let me break it down simply. Me think people overrate your history. Because as me say, your history is incidental. Obviously, there are some macro things where you never can change about your history, where you are going to have to grapple with. For instance, if you're a black person, you have in your ancestry, there's going to be some effects of maybe slavery. You can't escape that. But that don't mean you're going to define how you go forward. It all depends on your perspective, how you make these things affect you personally. The fact that people from a different background end up in a different places, it bear out the point I'm making. So this article I'm talking about now say you need to know if you don't know your past, you won't know your future. That in and of itself is nonsense, you know. That in and of itself is stupidity. If you have to take it literally. Because my past is incidental. I'm a past, my past is behind me, What is important? That generally, you grow up with some stability around you and you get to learn some values because there are things that you can't teach yourself growing up. So the adults in your life and your environment and your community and your home are going to teach you some things. But in terms of how you end up eventually and where you go eventually, it's down to you. It's down to you, I mean, yes, I'm going to accept again and admit again. So some people are more vulnerable and more manipulatable than others. Some people have stronger characters and stronger personalities, or you're less able to, them less vulnerable to being led. But that is it again. If you're vulnerable to be led, you might be led down a path where you probably never even want to go, But the man that is less vulnerable to be led, he won't be led down that path, He might go chart him own course and go about where he might go, Despite you and him come from the same background, You and him have the same history. So the point where I make that, this thing where people are make about, if you tie it back into the whole black history thing, that is why I'm not too much in this bag of blah, 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 black history. Because, yeah, we know the history. We know the hurdles that we had to overcome. But for the most part, what our ancestors did, they overcame a lot of those hurdles for us. So we don't face those same hurdles in our life. We have a different set of hurdles to face than our ancestors, So when you dwell too much, your ancestors' hurdles are your ancestors' hurdles, And this thing about you're doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past if you don't know them is nonsense, Because if you grow up and your past is your past put you where you are today, and you have enough sense, you get enough education, you get enough exposure to understand the way the world works and the way how humans think and the way how you have to interact and the way how you have to survive within the collective in the world. Then you're not going to go down the path where your ancestors go down because you have sense. you get to me, I say to you. Because you have sense now, You grow up as an individual now and you have sense. So basically, when I say this thing, when people are coming with this, that's why let me tell you something about me personally. And you probably might be picking this up. When we go high school, obviously everybody do history in high school. You see the first term when we do history in high school, and them start teaching about, we don't remember Christopher Columbus and all them something. Say, I'm from them time, I'm African, so I stop going history class from in the first farm. Come and say some of them something when they teach me, I don't need to know. I don't need to know. I need to know where I go. I don't necessarily need to know where I come from. Do I necessarily need to know where I'm coming from to go where I'm going? No. That's the point where I make to you. And I feel a lot of history. Yes, it gives you some perspective. And perspective is always fine. But is it an absolute necessity or mandatory for you to know them something for you to have a fulfilling future and a fulfilling life? No. No. A lot of the things about my history, I don't care to know. I don't care to know. Because I don't think it affects me in how we move forward. I have seen people and encountered people in this journey, When you see them history lessons there, turn them in an idiot. Turn them in some, like them, it's almost like them live an angry life. And it creates a debilitating effect where it stops them progress from marching forward. It's almost like they got caught too much up with the past that it discombobulates them sense of balance and them get them deviated and go off of the course. History do that. Much more important, this is something we expound all the while. It is more important where you're going than where you're coming from. If you go for any little man in the garrison, yeah, can you see a lot of people use them circumstances as excuse, Yeah. Or use it as excuse for them failure. Or excuse for them deviant and antisocial behavior. But it's not every youth will grow up in that circumstance, head down the road there. So that alone throughout the theory, you know. So that your past and your history dictate your future, you know. It doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, I speak on a micro level, you know. I don't know if research was done on the macro level. If we say, as a people, it's because of our past why we so backward and we're unable to unite and we probably you can make that case there. But then again, my counter to that is if enough people thought about the past like how me think about the past, then it wouldn't be that relevant to us as a people, you know. Just think about what I say. If enough people put the past into the kind of perspective where me put it, then as a collective, we would not have allowed our past to determine our destiny as much as we did. So more people, from my perspective, need to view the past as just that, you know. The past, an incidental occurrence into where you've gotten now in your space. It's an incidental occurrence. You could have born anyway. The man were born in the garrison down at Trenchtown could have born in the hills of St. Andrew. Yeah? And it wouldn't matter seriously which one of them reality them come out of. Based on the values we pick up along the way, the kind of guidance and the people we encounter in my life, he would have end up at the same place we end up now. Whether I'm born in a Montego Bay, in a Bogue Hill, in a Montego Bay, or I'm born out of Central Village, out of White Mall Central Village. It would have where him end up would not be determined by where him born. It would be determined by the lessons where you learn along the way and the kind of influences you had early in your life. Don't use your circumstances, don't use your past as an excuse, because it is more important where you're going than where you're coming from. Enough of that for the day. Don't go talk about this again. I may have more to say about it, you know. Maverick out for the time being. Reasoning, me say, out.